Robot proof, teaching humans to thrive when machines think. Here's a question that should keep every parent, every teacher, and every professional up at night. What are you teaching yourself or your children that a machine can't learn to do better, faster, and cheaper? Because right now, artificial intelligence can write essays, diagnose diseases, generate code, compose music, and pass the bar exam. And it's getting better every single month. So the real question isn't, will AI take jobs? It's which human skills will still matter when it does. That's what this book is about. And in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share the framework that answers that question. I'm Dr. Jean Constant, and I wrote Robot Proof, Teaching Humans to Thrive When Machines Think, because I was tired of two kinds of conversations about AI. The first conversation is pure panic. AI is coming for everything. We're all doomed. Nothing we do matters. The second is blind optimism. Technology always creates more jobs than it destroys. Don't worry about it. Both are wrong. The truth is more nuanced and, honestly, more empowering. There are specific human capabilities that AI cannot replicate. Not just today, but structurally, because of what AI is and what it isn't. And if you deliberately develop those capabilities, you don't just survive the AI revolution, you become more valuable because of it. This book identifies 4 of those capabilities. I call them the robot-proof skills. And today I'm going to walk you through each one, what it is, why AI can't touch it, and what it looks like in practice. Let's start with creativity. And I don't mean arts and crafts. I mean the ability to generate genuinely novel ideas that have meaning. AI can remix. It can recombine patterns from its training data in impressive ways. But here's what it cannot do. It cannot decide that something matters. It cannot have an insight in the shower. It cannot wake up at 3 a.m. with an idea that changes the direction of a company, a relationship, or a life. In the book, I break creativity down into components that you can actually practice. Divergent thinking, the ability to generate multiple possible solutions instead of converging on the obvious one. Combinational creativity, connecting ideas from completely unrelated fields. Creative courage, the willingness to put something new into the world, even when it might fail. And here's one that fascinates me, the incubation effect. This is the well-documented phenomenon where your best ideas come when you step away from the problem. You go for a walk, you take a shower, you sleep on it, and your subconscious mind assembles the pieces. AI doesn't have a subconscious. It doesn't dream. It processes, but it doesn't incubate. When you understand these components, creativity stops being this mystical gift that some people have and others don't. It becomes a skill set, a trainable skill set. And that's what makes it robot-proof. Critical thinking and problem-solving skill number 2 is critical thinking. And this is the one where people say, wait, doesn't AI think? Isn't that the whole point? No, AI processes information. It calculates probabilities. It predicts the next token in a sequence. What it does not do is evaluate whether its own reasoning is sound. It doesn't ask, am I being biased right now? Is my conclusion actually supported by this evidence? Or am I just pattern matching to something that looks right? Humans have cognitive biases too, of course. Confirmation bias, the Dunning-Kruger effect, anchoring, the book covers all of these. But here's the critical difference. Humans can learn to recognize and correct for those biases. We can develop what I call intellectual humility, the ability to hold our own beliefs up to scrutiny and change our minds when the evidence demands it. I also talk about systems thinking, seeing how the parts of a complex problem connect to each other. And Bayesian reasoning, updating your beliefs proportionally when you encounter new information, instead of either ignoring it or overreacting to it. These aren't abstract academic concepts. These are survival skills for an age of information overload and algorithmic manipulation. The person who can think critically in 2025 has a superpower. Emotional intelligence skill 3 is emotional intelligence. And this is where AI falls apart, most obviously, even though it's getting very good at faking it. ChatGPT can say, I understand how you feel, but it doesn't understand how you feel. It has no feelings. It has no body. It has no lived experience of loss or joy or the complicated mess of being human. It's performing empathy. And there's a profound difference between performing empathy and actually experiencing it. In the book, I walk through the 4 domains of emotional intelligence. Self-awareness, knowing what you're feeling and why. Self management, being able to regulate your emotional responses rather than being controlled by them. Social awareness, reading the room, understanding what others are experiencing. And relationship management, using all of that to build trust, resolve conflicts, and lead effectively. I also get into concepts like empathic accuracy, how precisely you can read another person's emotional state, and psychological safety, which is the single biggest predictor of team performance, according to Google's Project Aristotle research. Here's the thing: as AI handles more of the transactional work, the data processing, the scheduling, the routine tasks, the remaining human work becomes increasingly relational. The ability to connect, to listen, to navigate difficult conversations, these become the core of what we get paid to do. Ethical reasoning and moral judgment. The fourth skill is ethical reasoning, and I saved this for last because, in many ways, it's the most important. AI has no moral agency. Let me say that again. AI has no moral agency. It cannot be held responsible for its decisions. It cannot feel guilt. It cannot weigh competing values and decide what's right based on principle rather than probability. The book explores the classic thought experiments, the trolley problem, and the veil of ignorance, not as abstract puzzles, but as training tools for moral reasoning. Because every day, in our careers and in our lives, we face situations where there's no algorithm for the right answer, where doing the right thing requires moral courage, the willingness to act on your values even when it's costly. Leaders draw from both traditions. I talk about stakeholder thinking, considering the impact of your decisions on everyone affected, not just the people in the room. And I talk about moral imagination, the ability to envision ethical possibilities that don't yet exist. As AI systems make more and more decisions that affect human lives, who gets a loan, who gets parole, whose resume gets seen, the people who can think ethically about these systems become indispensable, not optional, indispensable, the robot-proof framework. So those are the four skills: creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, ethical reasoning. And here's what makes this a framework and not just a list. They reinforce each other. Creative thinking without critical thinking produces ideas that don't hold up. Critical thinking without emotional intelligence produces analysis that nobody listens to. Emotional intelligence without ethical grounding can become manipulation. And ethical reasoning without creativity can't solve novel problems. You need all four. And the book gives you specific, practical ways to develop each one. Not theory, practice. Call to action. If what you've heard today resonates, if you want to go deeper into any of these skills, understand the research behind them, and get practical strategies for building them, the full book is available now on Amazon. It's called Robot Proof: Teaching Humans to Thrive When Machines Think. And it's free if you have Kindle Unlimited. I've also built something I'm really proud of at Global Sovereign University, globalsovereignuniversity.org. We have free interactive games where you can actually test and practice these skills. Hundreds of challenge questions across creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and ethical reasoning. No sign up, no paywall. Just show up and start building your robot-proof skill set. And if you want to talk about what you've learned, Gino, our AI study companion, is available on the site to discuss the book's concepts with you anytime. This is Dr. Jean Constant. Stay curious, stay human, and stay robot-proof.